We have to look at the cause of death to determine, did Mr. Floyd die exclusively of asphyxia, or were there other contributing factors that were not the natural result of Mr. Chauvin's acts? All of this, when you take into consideration the presumption of innocence, I would submit to you that it is nonsense to suggest that none of these other factors had any role. That is not reasonable.
That what we need to show is that the defendant's actions were a substantial causal factor in his death. Doesn't have to be the only causal factor, doesn't have to be the biggest substantial factor. It just has to be one of them. The instruction will say that the fact that other causes contribute to the death does not relieve the defendant of criminal liability. Notice how when you had the discussion about reasonable officer Mr. Chauvin, the whole narrative cut off before we got to the point that Mr. Floyd was not moving, that he was not conscious, that he didn't have a pulse, and that Mr. Chauvin was still on top of him even when the EMTs showed up, and he still didn't get off of him. How is that what a reasonable officer does